my family focused friends, and welcome to another episode on Family Focused. And as usual, I have to check in with you guys just to make sure that we are all staying focused on the things that are important in life and to us as individuals. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing okay, staying focused and keeping your eyes on the prize and not allowing anything or anyone to distract you from that which you are striving and you desire to achieve and to accomplish. Just a little housekeeping before I jump into today's video. I just wanted to clear up or to clarify that in the video I did on psychology and emotional intelligence, although I said in the video that I believe that psychology and emotional intelligence should be taught in schools, please note that I do not believe that it is solely the responsibility of the school to ensure that this is taught to our children. These are things that we ought to learn at home, among our family, in the family unit. This is something that the family is first supposed to teach us. And it happens naturally. It's not something that your parents are gonna call you and say, hey, come, I'm going to teach you emotional intelligence and psychology. But these are things that happens naturally, organically, as you go through your day-to-day life as a family unit, with your siblings, with your parents as the authority figure, and in your siblings with the different personalities. If you're an only child, then maybe you have cousins or relatives that you associate with, or just in your neighborhood, the children that you play with. These are things that you learn during that stage of your life. How to socialize, how to get along with people, how to read other people's feelings, how to treat somebody as based on the signs that they are showing. So these are things that first is implemented or learned within the family unit, and then the schools need to just add to that in a more practical way. All right, so on today's episode I want to look a little bit on just how whole and complete we are when we make that first cry in the hospital or at home, for those of us who weren't born in a hospital. Just how whole and complete we are. Blank, but still complete. Also, I'm not a graphic specialist, I'm not a big time editor, so I will not have visuals to aid in this presentation. Unfortunately, I wish I did, but I don't. But for this video, you'll need to engage your imagination just a little bit so that you can have a better understanding of what I'm saying. Alright, so let's say for a moment, not for a moment, because this is really actually what happens. We come into this world perfect, whole and perfect, right? So we come into a family, whether we come into a family. So let's say we have maybe twins. For the purpose of this episode, I'm going to say we came in as twins into the same family, and we both came in perfect and whole. So let's say we're starting at 100%. We came in full, whole, 100%. So we are positive, have everything that we need. First day we come home, life is happening, and for whatever reason, one of us have a very different temperament than the other. One of us personality is a little bit more demanding. It's a little bit more challenging. It's a little bit more, and for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to say that the parents aren't necessarily very present and conscious parents, and they subscribe to the thought process that if you do anything outside of what they deem acceptable behavior, then you are a bad child, right? So you both come perfect, starting at 100%. Now, Dr. Peterson has a personality course that he does, or self-authoring, future authoring, past authoring, and the basis of it is just the different personality types. And two of those is that you are agreeable and disagreeable as a personality trait. I don't remember exactly because I didn't come on here to talk about that, so but it just came to mind. So one of you are more agreeable and one has a more disagreeable personality. So naturally, the child with the more agreeable personality will get a better response from parents. One with the more disagreeable personality will get, a more negative response and experience out of the parent. So the one with the more positive experience will have things added. So the treatment is more positive, and the more positive the treatment is, the more points you get. The more positive experience you have is the more points you get. So you find that by the time that person gets to be an adult, they're looking at points totaling maybe 200. So that's how they start off. They're starting off at 200 by the time they get to adult. Unless the positive treatment is overly positive, then it starts to become negative and it starts to detract. And this is where parents think they're doing something good by the child, but in reality it is having and will manifest itself in a negative way in the future. It's not something that will happen immediately, something that you'll see the results of in the future. So that's a person with a more agreeable personality. They'll tend to have a more positive experience as far as parenting is concerned. So they start off life in a more positive way because they would have gotten a more favorable treatment from the parents. Now for my sibling that has a more disagreeable personality, more challenging personality, and just a more demanding personality, that child is more likely than not to evoke a more negative, on the scale of positive to negative, the treatment that they'll get will be more towards the negative side of the scale. So what you'll find is that from your perfect score of 100 that you came into the world with, we will now start having deductions. So by the time you get to a certain age, and these deductions will be anything from just the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse, could possibly also include physical abuse. It could also include neglect. It could also include just, lack of attention, which basically would be the same thing as neglect. And so you find that instead of you have positive things being added on, positive experience being added on to what we already came with, it's actually negative things, negative experiences, and it keeps deducting because now belief systems are being formed, mindsets are developed, programmings are taking place, all those things are being interpreted and processed in just a very negative way, as negative, and the focus is now on, oh, I'm not loved, they don't love me as much as they love the other person, and it's a spiral, and it's negative until you clear your 100, and now you're in minus. You're gone all the way to minus. So while one child is starting out up here at a positive 200, this one down here is starting out at a negative 100. So they have lost what they came with, plus added on some additional negative things, so that is really negative. While the positive child has the 100 plus the additional things like the affirmation, the attention, all the positive experience, the positive words, everything that's positive. So that child is starting out up here. So naturally what you find happening, and I said, if the positivity is not overdone to the point where it becomes negative, then that child would be okay, and they'd be their foundation to start life as an adult, they'll be in a better position. Doesn't mean that they're going to end up in a better place. It just means that they got a better start. They got a more positive start. So they will get further faster. It doesn't mean that they're going to end up in a better place, or than the other child. So the other child now has to work 10 times as hard when they get to adulthood. They have to work 10 times as hard to undo the negative 100. So they have to break down all of that, because that was being built up in the wrong direction. That was going negative. So they now have to work to break that down, to break down all that negativity that was built up. Plus, go back to 100, where they started, and then continue to build on that. So you see how negative parenting can set you back in life. It's not a deterministic factor. It's just the impact that it has, and it gives you like a delayed start, and you have to work harder than the other person to catch up, first of all, to break down all the negatives so you can get back into positive, build on that positive, and then move on. And depending on your mindset and your will and the experiences that you have and the influences that you come across in life, this process, going from negative to positive, rebuilding the positive, and then adding on to that, can be easy or it can be really hard, depending on just the experiences that you have, the people that you come across, so on and so forth. So, and then automatically what that does is it initiates, there's a scripture in the Bible in St. Matthew, I believe 25 verses 29, and this is the parable of the talents, where the master went away and he left his servants with talents, starting at 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So the servants that got from 5 to 2, they were all able to multiply their talents. One that got 1, he hid his. And then so what was said is that they that have, unto them more will be given, and to them that do not, even what they have will be taken away. So immediately, automatically, that principle, that law has already been activated in the life of the one that had the negative, the person, the sibling that had the negative experience. They had nothing to do with it. They had no part in that law being activated in their lives, but it was activated just by virtue of the influence that they had in their life as a child, continuously up to when they either left that environment or when they became an adult and they're starting out at negative, and already you have a natural law that is working against them, in that if you don't have, it's going to make it harder for you to get. And then it is also possible that what you already have, the little that you already have, can, and in most cases will be taken away from you before you learn the lesson and start building on, totally demolishing the negative mindsets that were set up, rebuilding the positive, and then building on that to go forward with your life. And this is why it is important for parents and families to understand how important their interactions with their children are, and the responsibility that they have to their children in terms of setting them up for life. And it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with your financial capacity and your financial capability. It has everything to do with your relationship with your child. The words you speak over your child and to your child, the way you treat them, because remember, however you treat your child, the way you speak to your child is what they will grow to see and think, believe as normal. And that is what they will accept from people when they go out into the world, because they're going to think it's normal for somebody to treat them this way, because my mom treats me this way, or my father treats me this way, so this is normal. This is normal treatment, right? So it is important, the relationship that we have with our children in their formative years, which is between 0 to 7. So as parents, we have to be careful. We have to be careful of the foundation. We're supposed to be building foundations, not knocking out the foundation and digging a hole and putting them further down in it. We're supposed to be building a foundation, laying a foundation so that your child or our children can have a good, positive start in life, a positive launching pad in life. Okay, there's also this thing I read once, I don't remember where I read it or I heard it, that no two child has the same parent. Yes, physically you came from the same mom and dad, but you don't have the same experiences. And this is simply due to the fact that each person has a different personality. And if you're going to be a good parent and a positive parent to each of your child, you cannot be the same parent for both of them, for both child or for all your children, because they have different personalities. So you will need to connect with the part of you that connects with the personality that your child has, so that both of you can connect, so that you can understand and they can understand you, and you can relate to each other. You can build a relationship, build a bond, and so that there is a yin and yang type of relationship, and you understand each child for who they are. So no two child has the same parent, even though physically they came from the same parent. I hope that made sense. I hope you understood something that I said, and you'd have gotten some value out of something that I shared today. And this video is basically just to show you, or put emphasis on, the importance of the relationship that we build with our children, the foundation that we set for them, how we communicate with them, how we treat them, right? Because it could either be stacking up positive experiences, or you are stacking negative experiences, which would be deductions. So they're either deposits or withdrawals, right? So as I said, even if financially you're not in a position to do the big things financially, you at least need to ensure that emotionally, psychologically, and mentally you are there for them, and you are setting and laying a solid, positive foundation. And balance must be maintained on either side. It can't be too positive either. That's also important. Balance must be maintained on either side. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.